Herndon's Lincoln. The True Story of a Great Life. Volume 1, Part 2. Written by William Herndon and Jesse Weik. Narrated by Chris Blair. The Illustrated Herndon's Lincoln. Chapter 5. The departure of the Talisman for deeper waters, the downfall of Denton Offutt's varied enterprises, and his disappearance from New Salem, followed in rapid succession, and before the spring of 1832 had merged into summer, Lincoln found himself a piece of, quote, floating driftwood again. Where he might have lodged, had not the Black Hawk War intervened, can only be a matter of conjecture. A glance at this novel period in his life may not be out of keeping with the purpose of this book. The great Indian chief Black Hawk, who on the 30th of June, 1831, had entered into an agreement, having all the solemnity of a treaty, with Governor Reynolds and General Gaines, that none of his tribe should ever cross the Mississippi, quote, to their usual place of residence, nor any part of their old hunting grounds east of the Mississippi, without permission of the President of the United States or the Governor of the State of Illinois, unquote, had openly broken the compact. On the 6th of April, 1832, he recrossed the Mississippi and marched up Rock River Valley, accompanied by about 500 warriors on horseback, while his women and children went up the river in canoes. The great chief was now 67 years old, and believed that his plots were all ripe and his allies fast and true. Although warned by General Atkinson, then in command of Fort Armstrong, against this aggression, and ordered to return, Black Hawk proudly refused, claiming that he had, quote, come to plant corn, unquote. On being informed of the movement of Black Hawk, Governor Reynolds called for 1,000 mounted volunteers to cooperate with the United States forces under command of General Atkinson, and drive the wily Indian back across the Mississippi. The response to the governor's call was prompt and energetic. In the company from Sangamon County, Lincoln enlisted, and now for the first time entered on the vicissitudinous and dangerous life of a soldier. That he in fact regarded the campaign after the Indians as a sort of holiday affair and chicken-stealing expedition is clearly shown in a speech he afterwards made in Congress, in exposure of the military pretensions of General Cass. However, in grim, soldierly severity, he marched with the Sangamon County contingent. Where? To Rushville, in Schuyler County, where, much to his surprise, he was elected captain of the company over William Kirkpatrick. A recital of the campaign that followed, in the effort to drive the treacherous Indians back, or a description of the few engagements, none of which reached the dignity of a battle, which took place, have in no wise been overlooked by the historians of Illinois and of the Black Hawk War. With the exception of those things which relate to Lincoln alone, I presume it would be needless to attempt to add anything to what has so thoroughly and truthfully been told. While at the rendezvous at Rushville, and on the march to the front, Lincoln of course drilled his men, and gave them such meager instructions in military tactics as he could impart. Some of the most grotesque things he ever related were descriptions of these drills. In marching one morning at the head of the company, who were following in lines of 20 abreast, it became necessary to pass through a gate much narrower than the lines. The captain, Lincoln, could not remember the proper command to turn the company endwise, and the situation was becoming decidedly embarrassing, when one of those thoughts born of the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?